We'd like to welcome the committee. We'll ask the secretary to take a silent roll. We'd like to welcome those that have chosen to join us this morning here in the room, and as well as those at home that may be listening. Committee will start off with House Concurrent Resolution 50, Representative Lance Clow. This deals with recognizing pornography as a public hazard. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name and who you represent, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, for the record, my name is Lance Clow, representative from District 24, which is Twin Falls. Before you, House Concurrent Resolution 50, which is intended to make a statement from the legislature that pornography and obscene materials become a public health problem within our community, state, and nation. This is a little bit of a follow-up because in 2008 there was a Senate Joint Memorial that was sent to Congress. It was Senate Joint Memorial 7. It was sent to Congress expressing similar concerns, but trying to have Congress take a more of a national position on this. And that may be one reason why some of the E-rate requirements prohibit the use of E-rate money to be allowing access to minors of any of this type of material. I've since learned, and I will confirm today, that technically the Wi-Fi is not covered by E-rate money, and they don't fund the Wi-Fi. Therefore, my earlier concerns about Wi-Fi and E-rate connections, you may not have heard them, but I've expressed them elsewhere, so I'm stating them here for the record, that the Wi-Fi is not covered. But we do know that pornography has adverse impacts to all members of society. It leads to the abuse of women and children, men. It's destroyed marriages, relationships, families, and victims, young and old. There's mounds of evidence to support the cost to the people and society. The cost can be physical, it can be mental, and there's medical costs to the families, and of course, obviously financial. Families are being torn apart by this epidemic that's going across the country with the easy access to this material through as simple as a smartphone and tablets and computers. They can get access to it through public facilities that aren't filtering their Wi-Fi, and obviously through the satellite communications or through the cell towers, which we have no control over. There's no fiscal impact to this resolution. It's basically a statement to our citizens, the businesses in our state, and various levels of state and local governments that are listening, that we ask them to take action to block access to obscene material through the internet, whether it's wired or wireless. A question that came across in the House when we were considering this was, does this resolution encourages, and the word is encourages, state and local governments of all levels to pay attention to what type of access is available through their internet and also through their Wi-Fi, but it doesn't prohibit. Nothing in this is a weight of law. So someone asked the question of, what about law enforcement and that needs to get access to determine if there's been crimes committed? And this isn't addressing that. We're talking about the general proliferation of pornography and obscene material. With that, Mr. Chairman, I ask that you could send HCR 50 to the Senate with a due pass, and I'm available for any questions.
Questions, committee? I see none. We have one person signed up to testify on this concurrent resolution. So,
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Craig Cobia, welcome to the committee. Please state your name and who you represent, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Dr. Craig Cobia, representing Citizens for Decency, an Idaho nonprofit organization devoted to empower persons to take a stand against pornography. I'm here today representing some people who cannot represent themselves. For example, an intern listening right now. His father's life has been destroyed from pornography. What is the evidence? In 2016, people watched 4.6 billion hours of pornography at just one website. At age 11, the average child has already been exposed to explicit pornography content through the internet. 57% of young adults admit to seek out pornography at least once a month. 46% of men admit the same. So we say, what is the impact of this? When I share the following pieces of information, I would encourage you to think of your children, grandchildren, wives, daughters, granddaughters, husbands, brothers, sons. Think of the impact on them and society as a whole. 61% of pornography is watched on a mobile phone. 62% of teens and young adults have received a sexually explicit image. What are the ramifications? 33% of divorce litigation is caused or influenced by online affairs. 30% of cyber affairs escalate from email to phone calls to personal contact. Think interaction with prostitutes. NPR stated that married men and women who use pornography are more likely to get divorced than men and women who do not. And then the fallout from children within divorced families is significant. Larger likelihood of dropping out of school, becoming disengaged from families, lower academic achievement, and behavioral and psychological problems. So what is going on now? Why the big change? A number of years ago, to access pornographic content, which is legal and protected, the soft porn, by freedom of speech, you'd have to find an older person if you were a minor, and it's usually in the form of printed material. However, many children now, and adults, have very powerful computers in their pockets, enabling them with a couple of clicks to access some of the most vile and heinous content imaginable, recognizing that this information is illegal for minors to view. A number of years ago, we moved from Los Angeles. I was commuting 140 miles round trip every day. There were a couple of murders just down the street from us. We had the opportunity to choose to live anywhere in the United States. We chose Sugar City, Idaho, near Rexburg. What a wonderful place. It's so safe. The children are being raised well. Nevertheless, recently, even in Sugar City and Madison County, there has been kind of an undercurrent occurring and a rather explosion in regards to access of minors using their portable electronic devices doing illegal things. Sexting, assault, battery, child on child. At first, what may or may not be a misdemeanor may also be a felony. Can you imagine? It's illegal for children to view soft pornography, yet now, with nothing to stop them, and sometimes an intense social culture encouraging them to do things they may not normally do, to be accepted. Taking photos of themselves, sharing with others. If this proceeds, it could actually become a felony as they get older. They enter the court systems. If it doesn't stop, they may be deemed a registered sex offender, having to register everywhere they go. We do not want this for our Sugar City youth. We do not want this for our Idaho youth. In working with a Sugar Salem resident, she came to me and asked me to start this organization. Why me? I really didn't know many people struggling with this. I was trying to stay away from it myself. Nevertheless, she told me that her husband of many years, and together they had 8 children, was so enmeshed and entrenched in his pornography addiction that he had an overwhelming desire to rape and kill her and harm his children. Rather than doing so, he took his own life, leaving her with 8 children to raise on her own. The youngest is autistic. I urge you to consider what this means in your public, but also with your closest relationships. I suggest that when you're talking to people who you know who have challenges, who have impacted them directly, it may be an epidemic. And years ago, maybe it wasn't that way, but I believe it is. I would urge you to vote yes for HCR 50, a resolution proclaiming pornography as a public health crisis, which was drafted by the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. And I stand for any questions.
Thank you. Committee questions? Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Colby, I just wanted to express my appreciation for the work you've done on this. You've worked on these issues for many, many years. And he has a group called Citizens for Decency. Dr. Kobia, for the information of the committee, has made presentations at national conferences on several occasions, and you can tell his commitment to make a drive all the way from Rexburg and back today to talk to us for 4 or 5 minutes. So thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see no questions. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Committee, we don't have anyone else signed up on this, so we have House Concurrent Resolution 50 before us.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Hill.
I move HCR 50 to the floor with a due pass recommendation.
It's been seconded by Senator Lodge. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Committee, we now have before us Senate Bill 1377 relating to campaign finance. I believe Phil McCrane will start off this morning, and we'll have a couple other folks behind him. Welcome to the committee, Mr. McCrane. Please state your